You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the interactive interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
What's up, everybody? It's the Wolverine, the effing machine, Mr. GMSI, Brian Cage. Here you're checking out Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Well, hello there. Welcome to another edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com and YouTube. Today we bring you a Lucha Underground star. They call him Cage, is what Melissa Santos says. Brian Cage, formerly of WWE Developmental and now with Lucha Underground, and one of the highlights of that show. He's the Machine, and he's our guest this week. Caught him at the gym, spoke to him as he drove home. I think we kind of got him to lean into our conversation a little as we got heated as time went by. So stay tuned for this one because there's some good stuff when you keep listening to this. We want to thank Cage for checking in with us, and we hope everybody checks in on Lucha Underground every Wednesday night on the El Rey Network. Season 3 is going hot and heavy right now, and I think you guys, if you haven't given it a fair shot yet, you need to. Watch this show. There's some good stuff. Anyway, by the way, stay tuned after our interview for Patrick and I talking about all the current events in wrestling. If you like controversial opinions and some heated debate, maybe not the heated debate part, but at least controversial opinions, stay tuned and check it out. I think you're going to enjoy this post-show.
What's up, everybody? This is Matt Stryker, and you are listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio. All right, I'm ready.
All right, I got to tell you, there's a lot of things I expected to hear tonight when I talked to you, but Karma Chameleon wasn't one of them. All right, so we'll get started in 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. On the Newsmaker line with me right now from the gym is the man they call Cage, Brian Cage. Brian, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just walking out of the gym right now.
I believe you. There's some people who say that I might not believe, but I've seen you and I believe you. So I mean that's tremendous. How you doing tonight?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Hanging in there.
It's great to have you on the show. I guess the first question we have to start out with is about Lucha Underground. I got to tell you, I'm a late bloomer to Lucha Underground. My friend Patrick has been telling me to watch the show for years now, literally years. I've started watching it, and now my entire family's hooked on the product. I guess, how have you enjoyed being part of this incredible thing, Lucha Underground, and seeing it grow to what it is now?
It's been amazing, man. It's been the most fun and best place I've had been blessed to work at. You know, my whole life I wanted to work with WWE, and I was destined. Always told everyone I'd be signed there by the time I was 24, which I accomplished. So, I mean, job well done there. But I mean, the amount of fun and just the feeling I have working with Lucha Underground and the awesome talent and the matches, just how they do it and everything about it is just so much cooler. And I keep on telling everybody, now I finally feel like how I thought I'd feel to be a professional wrestler.
Awesome. And that's the feeling I get when I watch it. As a fan, it just is like, it feels like it's the way it should be. You know what I mean? It just feels like the way the wrestling business should be, and it's just not the way that it is, especially with WWE right now. And it just feels so much better and different and more energetic and, I don't want to say real, but entertaining than what I see on Monday and Tuesday night.
Undoubtedly.
All right. One of the cool things about Lucha Underground that I've seen, and in the interest of fairness, I just watched your match with Max. You guys don't shy away from headshots. This is the Ultimate Lucha Dos match. You guys don't shy away from headshots at all. I know in WWE it's basically taboo to hit somebody with a chair in the head. In TNA, it's outlawed as well. You guys seem to not shy away from it. As a worker, how do you feel about Lucha Underground embracing the headshot?
I'm not opposed to it because it's always been around, and I mean it's not like it happens ruthlessly or totally unsafe for all the time. But I mean I don't mind it at all. I mean I enjoy it. I think it's I don't know, it adds a part of it. I mean, people kind of compare it to ECW or like that, like non-PG type of feeling, and I think that kind of goes along with it. And on top of that, too, people that are concerned about safety stuff, we actually we have to do a full physical concussion thing, blood work, EKG, all the whole 9 yards. And I've done both for WWE and for this, but I would say Lucha is more extreme and is also done through the California Athletic Commission, which is the same for boxing and MMA and everything else. So, I mean, it's not like we're just getting thrown out there and getting, or brain scrambled and have to go back up there and wrestle. So, and even with that too, they take care of you. If worst case injury does happen, better than I've gotten elsewhere as well. So.
Very cool, very cool. Well, you mentioned already that you had the opportunity to work for WWE. You said by the age you were 24, so that's incredible. I guess talk us through what was it like working for the developmental territory in the good times, and how did you enjoy the experience of the promise of what could be with WWE?
I was stoked. I didn't have like a bad time there at all. I mean, I loved it. It just was, I guess for lack of a better term, wrongfully let go. I mean, it is what it is, and I'm in a better place now. But I mean, I enjoyed it. Enjoyed all people had there, and I got to live out my freaking lifelong goal of being signed with WWE, and I'm glad I got that opportunity. I don't regret that at all. Got to make good friends. Got a good experience, and I wish it would have worked out, and they would have not dropped the ball on me. But it's okay. Their loss is Lucha's game.
Their loss is definitely Lucha's game. Do you have any? I read a recent interview you did. Do you harbor any kind of resentment by, I think the word was mediocre that was used to describe you? And for God's sakes, if they don't see it in you, I don't know who they see it in. But do you have any bad feelings about how that all went down and how you departed there?
Yes and no. Like, knowing the fact that I'm not losing sleep over it and I'm fine, it is what it is. And that's why I would say if I ever go back, then cool. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't need to. If I never go back, I'm totally fine with that too. And I'm content and happy where I'm at. The ill will is, to make a long story short, because I could go into super detail. Basically, I got released due to having a torn groin and having one blown spot on a match that I wasn't even cleared to have, that I got put into last minute. And out of all the phenomenal matches I had with the Shrimp Beretta and Kalen Crawford, PJ Black, and Tyson Kidd, and so on, this one 2-minute match that they saw, I guess they saw fit to release me, and all the trainers went to bat for me and said it was BS and yada yada yada, and then I almost got signed back and then I didn't, and then they wanted me to tough enough and then they didn't, and then Bonaitis called me down to freaking when they were in my town for Raw, and they're like, oh okay, yeah, we wanted to bring you back and put you on NXT, just wait till after Mania. I stayed in touch with them too, and then I kind of started to fizzle out, and this was years back. But and then I was like, "Hey man, what's going on?" And then his response was, "We're no longer interested." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, let's face it." He goes, "Let's face it. At best, you're average at best, and we're just no longer interested." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I think we both know I'm better than average, but I mean, whatever. It is what it is. So, and how that kind of came with all the temporary relief, followed by severe disappointment of them oh, bring you back for this. Oh, wait, never mind. Yes, no. That's just kind of hard to look.
Are you still there?
Yeah. My car just transferred you instead of.
Okay.
I was saying, I lost my train of thought again. What was I just saying?
Animosity.
I don't even know what I was talking about.
Animosity, yeah, harboring animosity is what she's exactly right. I don't know who that is, but she's exactly right.
No, I know I was talking about that, but I don't know where I was trying to transition to that. But I mean, whatever. Like I said, I felt so bad that if I never got back there, that like my life was over, basically. You know, like I was like, oh, I have to be there. It's over. Then it finally is. After all this ups and downs and back and forth BS, I totally let go of it, didn't care, and didn't want to be part of it. And as soon as I let go of that, like, oh, I have to be back feeling, like my life improved tremendously tenfold. So
awesome. Well, you work a lot of different places, but the place that you've made the most headlines, other than Lucha Underground since leaving, has to be when you worked AAA and you had, I'm going to go ahead and say it, balls of steel to wear a Trump T-shirt in Mexico. That was probably the greatest thing I ever saw. Did you have any nerves about being so bold?
I did at first because I just thought it would be hilarious, and then afterwards I thought about it, and I remember texting Conan for the first time I wore it, and I asked him if he thought I'd get shot or anything, and he laughed. He said, "No, I think you'll be all right." And he said, "That's tremendous, though. I like that." And I actually wore it that morning too on this like Good Morning America, but obviously in Mexico type of show before
Right.
Triple Mania as well. And then I didn't really expect it to get that much of a reaction. I just kind of thought it would be a one-time deal and just kind of get some cheap heat, just kind of for some laughter to pop some people and some of the boys. And then since it got so much reaction, like, oh, okay, I guess that'll just be what I do now. So
that's awesome. Well, I'm gonna jump back to Lucha Underground a little bit and then let you off the phone because I can tell you're a little busy tonight. One of the cool things about Lucha Underground, other than the headshots that we already covered, is the fact that you guys get in the ring with the girls. And you guys are not really soft on the girls. You treat them like any other competitor in the ring. At least that's how it looks on television. No other company's got the guts to do that. What do you think of that? And is it difficult to work with a female performer?
I mean, I think it's cool. And I mean, obviously, it adds a little edge to it, and also, I guess, what they're trying to promote too is like the equality amongst the genders. And too, with Lucha Underground, since it's like more of a TV show than a wrestling show, it makes you like just to suspend belief a little bit more, as opposed to trying to be portrayed as a live like sporting event. You know what I mean? It's a weekly episodic TV show, so it's like watching Walking Dead. You're not gonna be like, oh, zombies aren't real.
Right.
So I mean, same thing. So it's like we got freaking the dragon guy, the guy from outer space, and whatever, and this and that. So and I think too that you talked about being more believable earlier too. I think that helps with believability in it as well because, like I said, you're not watching and saying, oh, this isn't real. You're watching it being entertained by a TV show.
Sure.
And then as far as being difficult with the girls, no. I mean, most of the girls there are all pretty talented, and I mean, and I'm glad that like they don't take it easy on it too. Like I mean, everybody talks about Master Taya, which I thought you got her super over, but I thought it looked like how am I gonna go out there and crush Puma and then like barely touch Taya? I think that would look like just phony baloney. Like wait a minute, like why did he just kill her? So. And I mean, that would go to not just Lucha Underground. If I worked a girl anywhere, I'm not going to go out there and be reckless or unsafe with them, but I'm not going to work any differently per se than I would with a guy.
Awesome. That is awesome. You mentioned that it's a TV show and you suspend belief, but one of the cool things I saw, I was actually there, was at the Phoenix. You guys took it in vivo. You guys took it on the road, Lucha Underground on the road, and I got the feeling that it was the company feeling out what the audience would be if you guys tried to be a traveling entity. Do you think there's legs for that?
Yeah, I know that's kind of what they're shooting for is, kind of getting a feel, put a feeler out there for it, and that's what we kind of wanted to do from the get-go, or just, what we talked about, and, it looks like it's a pretty good possibility. Hopefully have a little house tour show, or a little house show tour in the years to come, in between seasons.
All right. Well, my co-host wanted to be here. He had to go to bed, though. He's on the East Coast.
Yeah,
no problem, but he wanted me to ask about your current feud on TV with Tejano, and what you think of, well, I won't spoil it, but the ultimate prize for winning the Best of 5 series. Do you think it's going to be as awesome as it sounds?
I don't know. I mean, the first thing you would think of would just be like a title opportunity. I mean, that's what I would think of. So, I mean, yeah, that'd be great. And I mean, if you out there want to see me have another title shot or beat the Lucha Underground champion, But you know, with the ins and outs and snooker methods that Dario uses, I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be quite as awesome as one would hope for.
Absolutely. Well, I'll let you go in just a few minutes. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the rest of the wrestling scene as we have it right now. With ROH running Final Battle this weekend, TNA kind of being on life support. I was just curious what your take is on the current state of wrestling and how cool it is that a company that is an underground company that's just starting to really catch on in that underground realm is still succeeding. So what is your take on, basically, let's start with TNA, their current situation. I don't know if you keep up with it at all.
You know, I actually don't watch a lot of, you know, weekly wrestling anymore, which is crazy. I would have never thought that, you know, 10 years ago. But, I mean, I stay up in the loop a little bit, and I know TNA's in some hard times, but, man, I feel like they've been going out of business for, like, a decade now or however long, like, and then they're still there. So I don't know. Like, every time I say, like, oh, yeah, they're done. But, like, somebody said that last year and the year before and the year before. So, I mean, I don't know. And ultimately, whether people like the product or not or disagree with some things, it's still another option. And there's still plenty of great talent on that show. And it's just another place also for people to work, you know. So I don't want to go under. I don't want it to go out of business. And I hope that it, you know, that it turns around and goes. And, you know, I'm friends with certain people that are there. And I hear this and that and things on the inside, you know, whether it be both pro or con. So, I mean, I'm hoping it works out and it goes well.
I agree, and I hope they do well, too. I know you say you haven't watched it weekly. Just you're curious for your take on this. A lot of people say that the broken Matt Hardy character was directly taken or definitely inspired by Lucha Underground. Do you think that there's some truth to that?
His character? No, I don't think that his character was. I mean, the gimmick with him and Jeff was more how it was shot and stuff like that. A lot of people compared it to like the vignette style that we do in Lucha Underground. So I can see that comparison.
But the character itself, not really.
Yeah, I mean, because there's nobody like that. And I mean, that's interesting. And you know, too, Matt as well has like totally reinvented himself so many times in different like ways or platforms or you know just character. Like so, and then now he's like you know one of the most over guys right now and. Everybody wants it, so I mean that's great for him, man.
All right, and I know you have your tag partner Michael Elgin is in ROH. They seem to be on solid ground, I guess. And you yourself, I saw you were on the indie scene this weekend working, and you always work PWG and various other promotions. I guess you could say that the independent wrestling circuit is still very healthy. Oh,
very, very much. I would say it might be the best it's been since I've started wrestling. To tell you the truth.
Awesome.
I feel like wrestling as a whole is all on upward climb. I mean, WWE is not going to go anywhere, but I feel like WWE and I guess maybe TNA are kind of on a decline, and compared to everything else, I feel like everything else is improving and getting more eyes on it and getting more popular. And I feel like you know the main you know media it will always be there for WWE. It's not going to leave anywhere, but I feel like they're not as popular as. And not as talked about as, you know, ROH and New Japan and Lucha Underground and Indies, especially like in Europe, a lot of Indies are pretty on fire right now. So, I mean, there's a lot of good places to work for sure, and tons of great talent.
Absolutely. There definitely is some great talent out there. And like I said, it's featured best, in my opinion, on Lucha Underground. I encourage everybody to check it out. And I want to say this to you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. The production that you guys put on in Phoenix was phenomenal. You guys did a great job, except for the top rope breaking, of course. But
you know, too, somebody said something about the ring breaking. I'm like, I think the ropes would be okay. And a guy backstage goes, if the ropes break, they're gonna break in the first match. And it was like the first minute of the first match, there he went. So yeah, that was a fiasco, but hey, it worked out.
I'll tell you what though, I said this on our last show, and I'll say it here. I give credit to Son of Havoc and to Jack Evans though, because they went out there and they made it work without the top rope at all. And if you look at wrestling history, the Rockers and the Hart Foundation had a folly of errors with the exact same error.
Oh, yeah,
and you're talking about two of the best wrestlers of all time in that match. So there you go. I mean, they pulled it off.
And not to take that away from Havoc and Evans, because that was amazing. But tag team match is a lot harder to call on the fly like that with the error as opposed to one-on-one.
just because of the communication amongst everybody. But yeah, no, it's always a bad day at the office when that happens. But I mean, hey, stuff happens. You just got to go with it. So.
Very cool. Well, I wanted to just put you guys over for being a really good company. My son was so stoked to meet you guys. You reached over the table and signed a little sticker on his T-shirt. I mean, he was just so happy to meet you guys. So you guys did a great job. I wanted to thank you guys. And next time Lucha Underground comes to anybody's town that's listening to this, I hope they check you guys out because you guys really go all out, and it's a great show. So, again, I want to thank you for spending this time with us. Is there anything else you'd like to say before I let you go?
I just appreciate you putting us over and appreciate you putting the show and going the show. As well, I guess just put over my social media stuff as far as Mr. GMSI_BCage on Twitter, Brian Cage on Instagram, and my Pro Wrestling Tee store, Pro Wrestling Tees /Brian Cage.
Awesome.
Hola, this is the Wednesday Night Delight, Johnny Mundo, and you're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Aztec Warfare 2 is upon us!
This Aztec Warfare 2 changed Lucha Underground into what we know it as today.
This was the Lucha Underground debut of Rey Mysterio Jr.
Probably one of the biggest moments in Lucha Underground history.
Anything goes!
Obviously, the big star of the match.
My brother, the monster, Matanza Cueto!
What in God's name?
And just obliterates everybody.
All your favorite luchadors battling it out for the ultimate prize.
Lucha! Lucha!
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. It's James Walsh, and joining me now is our good buddy, Patrick Kelly. Patrick, are you there?
Doing great. I think you should preface this by saying the new television star, Patrick Kelly.
Yeah, know what?
That's my new gimmick.
That's your new thing. You're Mr. Turkey Knight or something like that.
Yeah. The way of the Turkey Man.
The way of the turkey. That doesn't sound cool at all. For those who are curious what we're talking about, the lead-in to our segment was actually a clip of Patrick and amongst other Lucha Underground fans talking about, in particular, the Matanza entrance at Aztec Warfare 2. There are other segments that Patrick appeared on, and I'll put together a little montage to put on the Facebook page at some point. I haven't recorded the rest of them off yet, but this one in particular I saw, so I knew where it was, so I recorded that one off.
Yeah, I think, at least for me, on my DVR, all of the segments were in the first commercial break of those episodes.
Yeah, well, I got news for you. I have a feeling, did you ever notice, and I'm saying this to anybody old enough to know this, did you ever notice that late at night on rock channels, there's a whole hell of a lot of Pink Floyd being played?
Dude, I'm not up that late. I wouldn't know.
Well, if you'd ever notice why, it's because the songs go about 15 minutes long, and the guy sits back in his chair and falls asleep. That's the true answer. Well, the reason I say that is I think that's what they do with Lucha. I think it was pretty much pre-programmed. I don't know that there was people working that hard on Thanksgiving weekend. I'm sure people were there, but I'm sure they didn't have their full crew at El Rey working to program things. So I think things were pretty much synchronized in advance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, I want to thank you, by the way, for introducing us to Lucha Underground. And I mentioned this to Cage, who was our guest this week. And by the way, thank you to Brian Cage for the interview. I wish Patrick could have been part of it because I know you like the Lucha guys. So I think, unfortunately,
Lucha Underground, that's my jam. That show is my jam.
It is, and you're the one who kind of got us into it. You created a monster again with Caroline. I'll say that. She was fed up with wrestling.
All I did was post one match.
You did. You posted one match, and she watched it. She recorded that match onto DVD and made me watch it that night. And I'm like, wow, that was really good. And then the floodgates opened, and we started watching just a whole lot of Lucha. And, man, I got to tell you, I was skeptical about this company from the get-go. But I was wrong. to be skeptical. This is good stuff.
I didn't know what to expect. I'd heard that the show had started up, and I think I saw a commercial for it or some advertisement for it, but I didn't really know anything about it. Like, I just envisioned it would be just AAA in America. That's what just hearing the name, I'm like, oh, it's just going to be AAA guys in like an English-speaking American promotion. And when I finally watched it, I watched first episode I watched, I believe, was episode 5 or 6 of season 1. It was actually the episode with the Sexy Star Ivelisse match, because that was the first match I ever watched. I believe the main event was Johnny Mundo versus Big Rick in a tables match.
That was,
and I took one look at it. I was like, this doesn't look like any other wrestling show out there. Immediately it stood out. And then I saw one of their cinematic scenes with Dario Cueto talking to Drago. And on most other wrestling shows, that scene would have been fairly mundane and typical, but it looked so cool. And it's just two guys talking in a bathroom, and it looks so cool. And I've pretty much been hooked ever since.
Yeah, yours match, it was the Ivelisse against Mil Muertes match that you posted.
That was the one
online.
I posted. Mm-hmm.
That's the one that Caroline got hooked on, and that was it. We were hooked from then on. We went to the event in Phoenix just after we spoke to Matt Stryker last show. By the way, I joked. I don't know if you heard that show, but I joked on that show that I really have not fired you, because you weren't on the Anderson one either. So I said, I promise I haven't fired Patrick. He hasn't gone the way of all my other co-hosts yet.
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
No, my crazy work schedule unfortunately gets in the way of such things.
Anyway, though, we've been watching all this Lucha stuff. So, yeah, you'll have to give me a list off air of all the ones that you appear on, and we will then put together a montage, because I know you wanted me to put one up for your friend, too, so we can do that for you.
Right, yeah. Well, somebody else I know, Delixman, he showed up on one of, I believe it was the No Mas match. He showed up in that one, so wanted to make sure that he got to see it, too.
Cool. Well, it was great stuff, man. And that was a great way to spend the I think it was Saturday after Thanksgiving, just watching a whole lot of Lucha, and there's some great stuff. Our guest of the week was on one of them. It was called Cage in a Cage, which was him against Johnny Mundo in a cage match, and that was really, really good, too. So, I mean, they do a lot of cool stuff, and I love the chair shots to the head that they do, because we got TLC coming up in a few weeks, and there's going to be a chairs match, and I have a feeling it's going to be basically guys walking around hunched over so they could take chair shots to the small of the back, which is apparently...
Has there ever been a good chairs match? First of all, the chairs matches are really stupid whenever they do them. Has there ever been a good one?
I never remember. I don't even remember who's ever been in them.
I mean, they're not as bad as the stairs match that Eric Rowan and Big Show had, which is literally one of the worst gimmick matches I've ever seen. But it feels so forced. It's like, oh, we're doing a TLC pay-per-view, so we got to have a chairs match because we're having a tables match and a ladder match and a TLC match. So we just got to gimmick the shit out of this. It's like, couldn't you just have one TLC match and just have that be it? Oh, do you have to have 45 other gimmick matches on a show?
Absolutely. Well, we talked about this off air, and you said to me, and I'll give people an exact quote who are listening. You said, why is it when Lucha Underground does women's matches, it feels cool, but when WWE does it, it feels forced? And you answered your own question right there. Cause
yes, I did. That's exactly it.
Half of the stuff they do, I'll try not to swear too much, is forced. And it feels forced, and it just feels overproduced and awful. That brings us to our next topic, or at least our first official topic of our recap segment, and that is the guy who they ruined by being too produced with them the first time they had him around, and that was Goldberg, who, hey, it only took them about 13 years, but they figured out what made him cool.
Yeah, they did. I was on the phone with a friend of mine while that match was going on. We were all just kind of like, they're actually closing with Goldberg-Lesnar, and Goldberg, he hasn't worked in, how long, 14 years, 13 years, something like that. And
since WrestleMania 20, so it's been,
12
and a half. Yeah, 12 and a half years, yeah.
Which is a long time. And you're thinking, it's like, all right, what are we going to get here? And their first match that they had back at Mania 20 was a disaster, so expectations were kind of low. And they just went out there and had Goldberg kill him in 90 seconds, and you know what? Like, I have my misgivings of it, which I'll talk about in a minute, but the cool part about it is that for once they didn't fuck over a WCW guy just because he's a WCW guy, and they actually presented him the way that any WCW fan would have wanted him to be presented. That was what made Goldberg cool and special, was stuff like that, and it was unexpected, and it was pure awesomeness and Goldberg. That's what it was. So if you're a Goldberg fan, I mean, this is about as pure a Goldberg as you're ever going to get.
I loved it, and I don't say that about WWE stuff much. I loved it because it's not what I expected, and that's the exact reason why a lot of the internet hated it, because it wasn't what they expected. We've reached a stage now where if the smart fan doesn't get what the smart fan thinks should happen, then they throw a pissy bitch fit that will end all pissy bitch fits, and they basically start stomping and burning cars and needing safety pins because they didn't get exactly what they wanted. And that's the stage that we've created, and that's what the Internet's created with the wrestling business. Of course, I'm making political inroads with that, but we'll get to that in a minute.
I'll say this, though. Actually, the reaction to the Goldberg match has not been as negative as I expected it to be when I went online the next day. And honestly, I'd say it was about 50-50. A lot of people seem to really like it.
I find that the ones who hated it the most are the ones who want the most for people to believe that they're smart. That's the truth. I really do believe that the ones that really, really hated it are the ones that, I'll be honest with you, my prediction was, and I said it on one of our recent shows, he's going to lose to Brock. It's going to be him losing. It's going to be Hogan Warrior at Halloween Havoc.
I think we all made that comparison.
Right, and it wasn't. And the fact that it wasn't was refreshing. And I will take you back to a comment made before they started the network. Stephanie McMahon was on there saying about pay-per-views and how with the network being the network now, they can do things that they couldn't do before. And she actually said, sometimes when you order an MMA fight, the match goes 2 minutes. Or if you order a big boxing fight, the match goes a minute. And that's it. You spent your money for that, and that's it. With the network now, because it's not necessarily the same as pay-per-view, we have the freedom to do shorter matches in a main event spot, and it won't feel like we're ripping off the fans. Well, it took them a while to get there, but that's exactly what we got here.
Yeah, I would say the Cena-Lesnar match from SummerSlam was kind of that way. I mean, it wasn't short, but it was basically Lesnar destroying Cena, which nobody expected, and I thought that was pretty effective. I thought it was like, wow, that was shocking. I mean, I picked Lesnar to win, but I didn't honestly think he was going to go in there and just suplex the holy hell out of Cena for 15 minutes and pin him, with Cena getting no offense or no comeback. So when that happened, I mean, it was legitimately shocking, and it made Lesnar, coming off of the streak, it made Lesnar, it kind of solidified him as a monster. Now, and that kind of goes into where my problem was with the Goldberg match. It's not so much that they did a 90-second main event, and by all means, it was nice that a WCW guy got his night in the sun for once. But my problem with it is more like the long-term investment of it. And like they put so much into Lesnar. They gave him the streak. They gave him Cena. And it's like, okay, so down the road, somebody is going to beat him, and he's going to become a big star. I think we all thought it was going to be Roman Reigns, and were relieved when it wasn't. Unfortunately, they never really built up anybody to that level, and that's the constant tomfoolery that they do with booking their stars these days, where the guys that are on TV every week just look like shit because they're the beneficiaries of shitty booking and the recipients of 50-50 booking and all sorts of other nonsense that ruins them. But unfortunately, they just never built up a young guy to really be on Lesnar's level and ultimately take him down. And now that Goldberg's beaten him, it's like, well, now beating Lesnar's not that big of a deal. And now you're thinking, okay, now Goldberg is the unstoppable monster that you can use to make a star, but it looks like he's just going to wrestle Lesnar again, and Lesnar's probably going to get his win back.
Well, then the series won't be tied, though, because Goldberg will have 2 wins, so they'll have to do another one.
Yeah.
Goldberg Lesnar 4, Havana Nights, or some shit like that. Electric Boogaloo, or whatever the hell it was. I don't remember.
Oh, Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo? Yeah.
There you go, yeah.
By the way, movie recommendation out there, if you have Netflix, check out Electric Boogaloo, the full history of Canon Films. It's a great documentary, and if you love cheesy, stupid movies, this documentary basically covers the entire history of the king of cheesy, stupid movies in Canon Films. So I highly recommend it. Check it out.
All right. Well, I understand what you're saying. I don't think that makes Goldberg the unstoppable force. I just think that it's going to be – it was a nice nostalgia moment, which in an era where they don't really give nostalgia moments unless it's back to the Attitude Era.
They do nostalgia moments all the time. It's just most of the time it's forced and shitty.
Yeah, this one wasn't forced. People dug this one. The non-internet smart, I didn't get exactly what I thought was going to happen, so that made me look stupid, so therefore it must have sucked. Crowd.
I'll be honest, I was shocked that Goldberg got the reaction he got in Toronto.
If you remember, the last time he was there, he actually got booed.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure Bret Hart has a lot to do with that, both the injury and that was also the setting of that famous segment where he speared Bret Hart with the steel plate.
Exactly what I was going for, yes. That was genius, by the way.
That was one of the few good things that WCW did in their dying days. But I just thought...
You call that the dying days? That was 2 years before they closed.
At 99, you knew it was over. It was kind of like, it was just a matter of time.
Did you know? Did you really know it was over, or did you just know that they were creatively shot? I mean, you knew that they needed a change, but I don't know that you thought it was over. I certainly didn't.
Let me put it this way. I packed my bags and gone to WWF by that point, and I wasn't looking back. So that's all I know.
Yeah, but there's no way anybody could have known it was going to close. Here was $1 billion Ted Turner presented program that we saw booked horribly by Kevin Nash into the shitter. There was other factors, obviously, but
there were a ton of other factors.
But that was one of the burst booking eras in wrestling history. Was when Nash was writing just the most god awful programs ever.
Yeah.
You remember when Ric Flair got beat up in a field like by 30 different guys, and then got picked up by some dude who looked like he was homeless driving a truck, and showed up with his shirt ripped and all that, and still beat the shit out of 10 guys in the ring? And the announcers had no idea that Flair was beat up or why he was beat up because they were kept aloof of anything that was actually happening on their own program?
That's actually, to tie it back into Lucha Underground, that's actually one of the things that Lucha does really well. And I think it's, why does Lucha do all these crazy things? They do stuff like that almost every week. There was one character that was murdered, and the announcers still don't know what happened to him. Like
Who
Matt
was this?
Stryker and what?
Who was murdered?
One of the members of the crew, Bale. Matanza. It was the first victim of Matanza. Matanza friggin' murdered him. Like straight up killed him. Like the character was killed off. Like I'm not exaggerating. And the announcers don't know what happened to him. But with Lucha, I kind of buy it because they've successfully created the universe that they're a TV show, and it's kind of like wrestling within a televised scripted drama, so they kind of get away with it. With WCW and WWE, they constantly give off the vibe that they're a live sporting event, but then they do these stupid segments that kind of contradict that. It's like, all right, can the announcer see what's going on, or can't they, or whatever? It's like, secrets are being told backstage, but the entire crowd can see it, and all sorts of things like that. So whenever WCW or WWE would do anything like that, it just didn't work. And that's where, my constant stroking of Lucha Underground, that's where they do it so well.
They do. And it's, I joked with Matt Stryker. I said, some of the segments are filmed in such a way that they almost harken me back to the infamous Dungeon of Doom Hogan segments where it's just so campy and well, I don't know if campy is the word, but so theatrical, let's say. And for all the reasons that was bad, this show's good. So it's kind of a strange dichotomy. Taking it to the next level here, let's talk about our next controversy since our last show. It's not exactly hot news right now, but it is news still. Joey Styles. Joey Styles was the announcer for Extreme Championship Wrestling. He was originally the announcer for Eastern Championship Wrestling, but that product was so off the wall, vulgar, violent, and wild that they changed their name, in addition to trying to be more national, to Extreme Championship Wrestling, and he was the voice of that company. You hire him to do a program. You hire him to do a product. And you act surprised that he says something controversial? The voice of Extreme? I don't understand it, guys. And for those who are going to jump on me for this and say, oh, he said the P word, no. Incorrect. You know what you've been told. But like we saw, and I'm going to go here, since the controversy does surround politics, I'm going to go here, much like we saw with the election where people voted based on telephone. What they've been told was said instead of what actually was said. That's exactly what's happened with Joey Styles. What Joey Styles said was, I've been told not to say anything controversial or political, but whatever the name of the ring announcer girl is, you look so lovely that our president-elect would try to grab you by the moving on. And he changed the subject. He did not say the word. He didn't say it. He didn't make any P-licks. He didn't make any hand gestures. That was the joke. Is it funny? I don't think so. I didn't find it funny. It was just stupid. But it's a Joey Styles line. And if this was an ECW show, you would have heard it, you would have let it go, and just moved on. It just is what it is. Gabe fucking Sapolsky, a.k.a. William Regal and Triple H's favorite pet, got out there and fired him. And then Shakara, Mike Quackenbush, who I like, by the way. I like Mike Quackenbush. He comes out and he says, oh, you're fired too. It's unacceptable what you said. And some other company, some Revolution thing, whatever generic name they come up with this week, fired him too for it. So Dawn Marie comes out and says, you're a fucking moron. You know what you're getting when you hire him. And she then proceeds to bash Gabe Sapolsky and Mike Quackenbush, saying, you guys both want to be Paul Heyman, but you have no balls. Exactly right. And I don't agree with Dawn Marie on much. After Wrestler's Rescue, I have my qualms with her. She's exactly right. And Mike Quackenbush responds, after putting out this ridiculous press release about how unacceptable it was what Joey says, responding to somebody who said repetitively how much he sucks, you're absolutely right. So he agreed with Dawn Marie that he sucks. Mike, come on now, have a little pride, man. At least if you're gonna engage somebody, have the right or the ability to stand up for your own position, even if we might disagree with it. Have the courage to at least stand up for yourself. So anyway, long story short, if you want to know where wrestling's gone, you're reviewing a lot of ECW stuff on your YouTube show. We've gone a long way from Extreme.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I constantly hear people say, it's like, oh, we need to go back to the Attitude Era. Oh, we need to do this and that and the other. First of all, in a lot of ways, we never really left the Attitude Era because the show is formatted almost the exact same way as it was back then, except it's like boring, formulaic, and shitty. It's like, I want to move past like the Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff, like television format. I want to move past that and try something else because we've never really gotten out of that, and that's part of the problem. But the other part of it is like you can't go back to that because the attitude of it, both ECW's attitude or like the NWO's like renegade attitude or WWF attitude, we live in such a PC culture now, there is no way that any of that stuff would fly. None. And WCW was a PG product for all intents and purposes. But a lot of the things they did with the NWO...
It's part of what killed them. It's not the only thing, but it's part of what killed them.
Oh, yeah. But things like some of the violent stuff they did with the NWO, that wouldn't fly today. I mean, Daniel Bryan, there was a whole controversy over him, like, choking somebody out with a necktie. If you remember that, it's like, what?
We came from an era where kids were being sold T-shirts about "Suck It."
Yeah,
to where
exactly.
kids were being and wearing proudly, and parents are, oh, here you go, Billy. And it's like, the shirt says "suck it." You okay with that?
Yep.
To where now, if you tried that now, unless it's in a nostalgia spot, people are going to panic and talk about how women are much more than oral sex and shit like that, and it would be such a PC bullshit answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, going back to Joey Styles, my initial, again, you brought this point up. I didn't actually watch the video clip at first. When I first read it, and I read the article about what was said and everything, I assumed he had said pussy. I assumed he had said the word.
Oh, you can't say that. You're going to get fired from Chikara, Pat.
Oh, okay. But anyway, my point is, my initial reaction was, well, maybe he should have run it by somebody first before saying it, and I don't know, I've never actually watched an Evolve show, so I don't know, what style they're going for. Are they going for more family-friendly, or are they whatever the case may be. But when you told me to actually watch the clip, and I saw, he never actually said the line. He never said the word. I was kind of taken aback by it. To me, it was just a bad joke that fell flat. Do we have to make, that big of a deal out of it?
Yeah, for God's sakes, how many bad jokes fall flat on nighttime programming, on the Late Show and the Late Show and the Tonight Show? Jeez, about half of
Raw. I listen to the
Raw.
announcers.
Yeah.
They do nothing. Yeah, listen to the announcers. They do nothing but tell bad jokes.
And it's not funny.
And laugh at them.
And laugh at them. Well, that's the sign that you're not funny, is when you laugh at your own shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So, because you might be the only one laughing. All right. Let's see here. Where were we going to go? That kind of leads me on, since we're talking about Gabe Sapolsky. I'm going to be a bitch. All right.
Again.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a bad mood, and I haven't had a chance to rant lately, so you might have to cope with me real quick. Sasha Banks and Charlotte, and these matches that are making history and shattering the glass ceiling, and all this other garbage. The match sucked. I'm sorry, guys. The Hell in a Cell match sucked. It was not good. It fell flat. No matter if they main evented, so Lita's going to come out in tears, and all this other junk that they tried to do to present itself like it was this great moment. The match was not as good as the men matches. And I'm saying that not to be a chauvinist, but I'm saying it to be real.
Can I be honest? I didn't like I'm not trying to be a jerk here. I didn't like the men's matches that much either.
Well, I'm not.
I wasn't a fan of that pay-per-view.
I'll tell you this much. I was at a Zia music store tonight, and they already have it out on DVD. So give them credit. They got shit out right away. But what were we talking about? Back on point. Gabe Sapolsky, my friend. And I don't have a problem with Gabe, by the way. For all those listening, you must think I really hate this guy. I don't. I just think that he's what's wrong with wrestling in the 21st century anyway. Posted this WWE sycophantic thing about how it's changed wrestling, these Sasha Banks and Charlotte matches, and how they're the face of a new generation of wrestling. The match was not good. Their feud is not good. The owner of the company doesn't think that they're any good. I don't see what's so goddamn special about them. And I'm not saying.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead. I'll let you talk. I was going to finish and say just that's not me being a chauvinist or saying that women don't have a place in wrestling. I don't think that. I just think that these particular matches suck, and we're trying to champion something that sucks.
Right, and that's where it comes in. We mentioned it earlier about where other companies do it and it feels cool, and Raw does it and it feels very forced. And that's kind of what the Sasha Banks and Charlotte thing really feels like, where it's like they want you to think that these matches are super awesome, and if you keep telling me, this feud, there's no substance to it beyond the fact that, hey, they have really good matches and they trade the title back and forth. I mean, it's really all there is to it at this point. There's no evolving story. It's not like, it's not like I said, there's a great storyline or anything. They're just having matches that you're supposed to think are awesome because they said so. And personally, I thought the match they had on Raw was pretty good. I thought the finish was a little anticlimactic, but it was better than their Hell in a Cell match for sure. But my problem is, say what?
I was going to say they couldn't break the damn table at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched that match, and I was told how great it was, and I'm watching it thinking, at the time, I think this was probably, I don't like to get political because I'm going to piss off half our audience at least, but I think a lot of that shit was being aimed at girl power and women can do anything and glass ceilings and all this other horse shit. Well, guess what, guys? The fireworks over the Hudson got canceled. All right? So let's move along here and accept what it is. Again, I'm not trying to be a chauvinist. I'm just trying to be a realist here. But I'll let you finish your point. I'm sorry.
Sure. Well, here's the point I'm trying to make. It's like, okay, if you want to put women in the main event, you want them to have these big highlight matches, I'm fine with that, but I'm going to hold them to the same standard as the men. That's the catch-22. It's like, okay, that's fine, but at the same time you have to deliver. And I'll look at other companies. I remember a few years ago when TNA was having Gail Kim and Awesome Kong main event their shows. I believe they main evented Impact, and they didn't main event any pay-per-views, but they were practically stealing the show. The matches were great. Yeah, they were like Sting Vader matches. I loved them.
I'll even put on there. I think Taryn Terrell and Gail Kim stole the show at Slammiversary 2013. I thought that was the best show of the
that
best
match
of the
was
night.
terrific. Yeah, that match was terrific.
Again, I'm not being a chauvinist, and that could have gone on last, and I would have been fine with it.
Oh yeah, and other points. Lucha Underground, they just put the world title on a woman, and that's a character that they had built up for 2 years to get to that point. It wasn't just let's put the title on Sexy Star just because we say so. It's like, no, they'd actually they'd earned it, if that makes any sense. I mean, I'll be honest.
The crowd chanted, "You deserve it."
Well, I mean, the match that she had with Mariposa, the No Mas match, that's my personal favorite match of 2016. Some people might disagree with me on that, but that's my personal favorite match. And it's a women's match. And if you look at WWE's developmental show, which I constantly make this point on the show, that their developmental show is better than their real show, you look at some of the matches that the women had in NXT, like Sasha and Bayley, which got a ton of buzz when it first happened. That match wasn't great because it was two women in a highlight spot. It was great because you had this underdog character in Bayley who you really, 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 really wanted to see win the title, and you had Sasha Banks, who was this mean, nasty bitch of a character that was this dominant champion that you wanted to see her get knocked off her pedestal. That's the other thing, the reason that why this sucks. They keep painting Sasha as on Raw. They keep painting her as like this underdog, this scrappy, like come from behind person. I'm like, that's not what Sasha's supposed to be. She's supposed to be like mean and nasty, and like that was when she was at her best in NXT. But that's the thing. It's
she
like,
was the boss, the bitch.
Yeah, exactly. You look at NXT, you look at Lucha, you look at TNA a few years ago, like I talked about. They put their women in big spots, but they also delivered. And whether it be strong characters, I remember when the Beautiful People got over, they were one of the most over acts in TNA, and with good reason. They were legitimately good at what they did.
It had a lot to do with physical appearance as well.
Oh, sure, but they played the part well.
They did. And then WWE tried to copy it with very bad imitations, Michelle McCool and Layla.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Exactly. But that's my point. It's like, all right, look, yes, that's fine. You want to put women in the main event. I'm completely fine with that. You want to give them big highlight spots like a Hell in a Cell match. I'm completely fine with that. But a couple things. One, they have to deliver, and I'm going to hold them to the same standard as the men. And also, if you want those matches to mean something, you need to give me something more than, hey, it's women. Aren't we awesome for pushing women? You got to give me more than that. You got to give me something with more substance than that. And that's
I need a good movie. I don't need a Ghostbusters with women movie. I'm not going to watch that movie just because women are in it and think that, wow, isn't this great? Women are in men's roles. No. You need a better story.
I did see that movie. It's garbage.
It's garbage. No, I saw enough of it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw enough of it to say, you know what? No. You know, it's not good enough just that they're women. Okay, it's just not good enough.
No, and a lot of the reviews of that movie were spun in that direction, where that movie got way more positive reviews than it should have, and the reviews were saying, "Isn't this empowering for women?" and blah blah blah, all this other stuff. I'm like, But guys, the movie's terrible. I don't care if that's not the point. The movie is fucking terrible.
Well, that's the way Hollywood was for a long time because of the election. And it really did have to do with that. And I'm sorry to be such a fucking politic guy tonight because I don't really want to piss people off. But the whole fucking thing was moving towards, isn't it going to be great when we have a woman in power? And it's like, I don't care that your candidate is a woman. I care that she's a goddamn criminal. And it's this is the and I'm going to finish my point on this with this line, okay? Responding to Gabe Sapolsky's wasn't it great and is it not? It's undeniable that they're the greatest female wrestlers in the world right now. Gabe, I grab him by the pussy. Enjoy.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so James, really going off on one tonight. Are they the greatest female? I would throw. See, here's the thing. If that comment had been made while they were in NXT, I'd say yes, because in NXT they were legitimately delivering. And I'm not saying they don't always deliver here, too. I'll be honest. I thought the women had the best match at WrestleMania 32, which isn't saying much because that show was kind of a disaster. But I don't know.
There's been shows,
okay,
but I'll say this: one of the best Raw main events was Trish and Lita, where Lita almost killed herself.
That match from what was that?
05, 06, 05? 05, I think it was.
It was 05. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was 05.
Lita hadn't gone quite heel yet, I don't think. So.
No, she was still a face at that point.
Yeah, so it was 05 because at that point.
Oh, so it was probably 04. It was 04.
Might have been 04. Might have been.
Yeah, it was 04 because that was before all the Matt Hardy stuff broke out.
Yep. There you go. So that
was a terrific match. And I thought the match they had that was Trish's retirement match on that pay-per-view. I thought that was a terrific match.
I'm going to say this too. We talked a little bit about Lucha Underground earlier, and we'll loop back to it. Evilise has had some of the best matches. I know she got hurt a couple times, but she's had some of the best matches on the show. Tonight's show, Lucha Underground, the night that we're recording this on Wednesday, was nothing.
It was Pentagon and 4 women.
And 4 women, and I had no trouble with it. I'm not a chauvinist. But like we discussed with Cage, I hold them, if they're going to be in the ring with or up to the men's standards, I hold them to the standards that I would hold a man. It's not good enough to be good for a woman. You have to be good, period. And that's what I see with Lucha Underground. These guys, and I will say this about the girls, it kind of reminded me a little bit of, in Double Dragon, when you had like 1,000 of the same guys who come in and you beat the same guy over and over again, kind of felt a little like that. The girls didn't have, except for Lotus, she didn't really have. They all kind of had a very similar look and approach. I give them credit. Holy shit, they took a beating. But they all kind of started to feel.
One of them dove off the friggin' office. I was like, Jesus.
She's insane. When she ran up those stairs, I thought, what the hell is she going to do? Yeah, that was incredible. She was great. I couldn't tell you any of their names. I'll be blunt with you in saying that. But it kind of reminded me of that when he beat one, and then the next one came in and looked eerily similar to the first one. And that's not a racial comment. It just is that they all wear the same outfit.
I think at this point they're all, and you're right, they're interchangeable at this point. But I think right now they're just Black Lotus's henchwomen. So I guess that's fine for now.
Yeah, at some point, if they stay, and one of them, by the way, Daku was the first one. I take it back. I did know one of the names. Is either signed to WWE or is about to sign to WWE.
Oh, wow.
The first one, yeah. So there you go.
Well, here's the thing. They need see, I'm thinking, you tell me they're signing to NXT. I'm thinking, you tell me they're signing to WWE, I think of NXT because they really drained the pool of women talent in NXT when the draft happened. So it's like, man, Asuka really needs some people to work with.
Well, that's why they brought in Mickey. And again,
that's exactly why they brought in Mickey.
And again, I'm going to say I've
nobody
watched.
Else was ready.
I've watched parts of that show, and except for the Bobby Roode match, I think that match was probably the best of the night. So, again, I'm not a chauvinist. I just hope people.
I really like the tag match.
Don't even remember it. I fast forwarded through it.
Oh no, the tag. I thought the tag match was awesome, but yeah, the Bobby Roode match was great too. It was a great. NXT just puts on better shows. Why is their developmental show better than they are? It's really bizarre. I don't get it.
No expectations and no overproduction.
That also helps. Yeah, the no overproduction. That's oh god, that's a major problem they have. Why is it every time somebody does a run in, their theme song plays?
Well, that's what the NWO killed. When the NWO can come out of nowhere, but if you're before they come out, people are like, oh, well, they're probably going to come out and attack somebody now. So, and that screen goes black and white, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, doesn't it? I was watching SmackDown this week, and Nikki Bella did a run-in on Carmella, and that's actually not a bad feud. If you want to talk about like a woman's feud with like an evolving story, like that one's actually not too bad. I think it's more substantial than what Charlotte and Sasha are doing, which is basically just have a bunch of matches where we trade the title back and forth. So, but anyway, Nikki Bella did a run-in, and they played her music when she came out. I was like, why are you playing her music? That doesn't look spontaneous at all.
Yep, they didn't have it planned at all. I mean, it's just horrible. And going back to Lucha, I know this is like the one thing we're constantly praising right now. They do a lot right too with the production, though. The guitars when they had the Worldwide Underground to play the air guitar, that they would make the guitar sound and shit like that.
Their post-production stuff is really cool. Like adding, like you said, those little touches like that is pretty cool.
On Aztec Warfare when Mortez pulled off Joey Ryan from the handcuffs, in post-production, because there's no way they would have snapped it in real time, they had the close-up of the handcuff breaking off as he ripped them out, and that was just so cool. It's such a cool little feature that obviously you can't do on a live show, but damn, it makes it feel cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I think we've ranted about everything, and I've probably pissed off.
Have you offended everybody yet, James? We can keep going.
I think I've pissed off an entire gender. I think I pissed off an entire voting bloc who, lost. I think I really pissed off.
This is coming from somebody that voted third party. For all intents and purposes, I voted third party. I wrote in a candidate. Guys, please
would you say who you wrote in? Would you like to make that public?
I voted for Ron Swanson with Scrooge McDuck as VP. That was my pick. I was voting in Maryland. Hillary was going to win Maryland no matter what, so it doesn't matter. But, guys, the election's over. Can we just let it go? And that's for both sides. Like, look, okay, Hillary supporters, yes, you lost. I know it probably doesn't feel good. When I have people tell me it feels like 9/11 all over again, I lived through 9/11. I was going to school during 9/11 in D.C., okay, and I was back in class the next day. This is not like 9/11. Calm your tits. What else? Trump supporters, please stop bragging, and please, can we stop talking about the Hamilton shit? Nobody cares. I don't care.
Caroline's come over to read over my screen here. Hold on a second. Did you want to join the show? She's making her head no. I want Puma. Sorry, Caroline just typed in a message. She wrote in, I want Puma. Apparently. Okay. Did you ever see Kindergarten Cop?
Oh, I love that movie.
It's not a Puma.
It's not a Puma.
It's not a Puma. Not at all. Yeah. She keeps saying every time we watch that scene, and he says, I want Puma. She says, go ahead. You know you're going to do it. Go ahead. It's not a Puma. I want Puma. You know.
It's not a Puma. It's not.
Yeah. They're horrible. I love that. They had, at Black Friday sale, they had like for 99 cents or something, Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV and Kindergarten Cop 2.
Okay, good God, they will make sequels out of anything.
Yes, they had that, and I was like, look, I love the first one. I was in grade school when it came out. I thought it was awesome. To see it again, to see them try to do it would probably just make me hate the original. It's the same, and by the way, I used to be a doppelganger to Ralphie from Christmas Story. I have never seen Christmas Story 2, and nor do I think I ever will.
I talked to somebody who did.
Okay.
Literally, his comment, his quote, literally the worst sequel I have ever seen in my life.
I just can't imagine what they would even do. I mean, is it even the same kid?
It's the same kid, same family, same kid. He's like in high school at this point.
Well,
that's
I mean,
the exact response.
The dad is dead, so obviously it's not the same actors. And
no, none of the same actors. It's none of the same actors.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't know
it's
if
actually, you know Marv from Home Alone?
Marv? Daniel Stern?
Yeah, he played the dad.
Daniel Stern played the dad, and wow. I guess the rule, I could see him narrating it. See, now, that's ironic that you say that, because I would have said he could be the narrator of it, saying, I couldn't believe, because he does a lot of that kind of shit, narrating work.
He did that for the Wonder Years, didn't he?
He did the Wonder Years, yes, he did. I don't know if you remember it. He did Dilbert, the cartoon show. He was one of the voices.
Oh my
of Dilbert.
God, yes, I do remember that. One of the most underrated cartoon shows of its time. Yeah,
that was good. There were some good ones then. You know, I was remembering some of those shows. I'm watching some of them on YouTube.
I look at some of those old shows that didn't quite make it. Like The Critic only got 2 seasons, and that's one of my favorite shows of all time. Dilbert only got, I think, 1 season. And I look at American Dad, which somehow, apparently, somebody told me it's still going on TBS. And apparently it's in its 12th season. I'm like, who the hell is watching it?
Is it not on Fox anymore?
No, it's not on Fox. It's definitely not on Fox.
Ugh. I had no idea that it was not on Fox. I knew it was still going, but I didn't know it was a TBS original now.
Yeah, apparently that's where it is now, but I'm just
wow.
Like, good God, who the hell is watching it?
It's like, and I don't like Family Guy for all the politics stuff that they went, and it's not, look, I've taken some shots tonight at people, but I think they're fair shots. I never called anybody a Nazi. You know, I never did stuff like that. I never went full on. I never did I didn't go on a rant on why there is or is not a God. All this stuff. That show just went too far, and this is like an unfunny version of that. So.
My whole thing with Family Guy is that it kind of went the route of The Simpsons, where everything they did just became old hat. Except Simpsons, it took about 12 or 13 seasons to do it. With Family Guy, it took about 2 or 3 years after they came back, and it was like, oh, okay, this is kind of old now. I'm done. And it was like, wait, it's still on the air? Why? Again, Family Guy and The Simpsons. Can we just let those shows die, please?
I mean, I still like Simpsons, but there's some duds. There's some real dud episodes. I'll say that.
Oh yeah. Although I did watch it a couple weeks ago, and it was like the best Simpsons episode I've seen in like a decade.
Like I said,
it was the one with
what was it? What
Milhouse's dad coaching the lacrosse team. I was like, wow, that was actually a solid episode.
Okay. Well, I think we've ranted about everything we can. We've gone through politics, cartoons.
You know what grinds my gears?
Man, there was a lot of shit that I wanted to rant about. Oh, yeah, okay. I'll say this. I'll end with this. It's a football rant, okay?
Okay.
Cardinals' year is not gone the way that anybody wanted it to, at least not any fan of theirs would want it to. And our coach had a heart attack because of how bad we are. Now, my biggest problem with this whole thing isn't that we suck. It's that nobody will concede why we suck. Well, it's this reason. It's that reason. It's the long snapper's fault. It's this person's fault. We have a kicker who misses kicks when they count, and we have a quarterback who can no longer throw the long pass, and that was his only strong suit ever. Sorry. And we have some receivers. You know, Patrick Peterson is diabetic, and it shows. His play is not what it used to be. Our receivers, I'm pointing at you, number 15, Michael Floyd. The ball hits you in the chest, you have to catch it. You've cost us games too. But all in all, our quarterback is old, slow, and cannot make long passes anymore. And every single week, this is the excuse that we get. Well, this guy ran the wrong route, or this guy did this wrong. I don't believe it anymore. And until our team accepts that the reason we're losing is because of the overplayed players who aren't doing their job, then we're never going to get better. And this coach has got to accept it. Otherwise, he's going to end up dead on the sidelines.
Oh, wow.
Christ. And he makes excuses for him. The one guy who keeps fucking up is the one guy he keeps saying did a great job this week. It's like, dude, he didn't do a good job. He fucked up. Okay, that's
it's weird. My Giants, they're 8-3 right now. I still feel like we're not that good. Like, I keep waiting for the rug to be pulled out from under me because I honestly think, I think the Lions are better than us, and I'm looking at the NFC. I think the Redskins are better than us despite the record. And I'm looking at the Giants. I'm like, I don't know how the hell that team is 8-3. I don't understand it.
A couple lucky games, and you played the Rams.
Our defense is playing better. Our defense is playing much better. But I don't think we're that good. I really don't think we're that good.
You have a hard time. I'll say this, and I'm not trying to be a dick because Giants are my number 2 team. You had a hard time with the Browns.
We beat them by. You're right, absolutely. We beat them by 2 touchdowns, which is our biggest margin of victory so far this season. But yeah, that's a game we should have put that away much sooner. And it's just Giants shooting themselves in the foot and making it harder than it needed to be.
Yeah, and I'll wrap up with this comment. My cousin always said this, and I think you would probably agree with this. The Giants always play to the level of their opponent. They never handily beat the teams they should handily beat, and the teams that should handily beat them, they very rarely are blown out by.
Mm-hmm.
They always play the level of
absolutely.
their opponent. Yeah, it's a strange, and that's why Giants games are often when they have the NFL Game of the Week on the NFL Network. More times than not this year, even though they're not great games, it's been Giants games. However, no game is going to be better than that Chiefs game that we had the other day. That was fucking awesome.
That was absolutely.
That was a great game, man. That was awesome. Chiefs and Broncos. What a game!
Great game. Yes. Probably the best. At least the best Sunday night game this season.
Well, we went to overtime. It was an awful fucking game. Nobody could score anything. Our kicker bounced the ball off the upright. Apparently, any penalty that's called against the Seahawks, if it impacts the game, gets picked up. So, the officiating. At this point, I want the Foot Locker guys back. There's been some bad officiating, and that's not just against my team. I've seen some calls.
You know what? You say that, and it's because in recent years, the officiating has just gotten ridiculous. I don't think it's been that bad this year, except for Seahawks games, which is really weird to me. So it's funny that you mentioned that. Richard Sherman getting away with some obvious pass interference calls and stuff like that.
Against the Falcons a few weeks, about a month ago or so, maybe a little over, he was riding the receivers back on 4th down when the field goal would have won the game. And, well, there's now pass interference all on that. The Bills on Monday night. Okay, he came around and he tackled the kicker before the play started, and it's no penalty at all. Not even nothing. Then the kicker gets the field goal. They call a delay of game penalty, even though the game clock wasn't at 0. I don't get that at all. And then the guy finally misses the fucking field goal, and that's the one that counts. And, by the way, the Bills lose the game by how much? 3 points.
That's pretty funny.
That was the day before the election, and I don't think I've been more of a miserable son of a bitch in my life than that Monday night into Tuesday, because I thought that, number one, the Seahawks screwed a team that they should have lost to, and we, at that point, were still competitive, the Cardinals, and they were in our division, so I wanted them to lose. And I was sure the election wasn't going to go my way. And I was just miserable. I was hard to live with. Caroline almost punched me. Would you agree, dear? So anyway, we've ranted about everything possible. I'm going to wrap it up now.
It's a wrestling show, isn't it?
Yeah, wrestling. We're going to try and get a guest from TNA on. I don't know who it'll be. They're doing some cool shit with the women, too, by the way. Cage match, 6 sides of steel. It's going to be Jade against Rosemary on Impact, so check it out.
Okay, interesting.
That's their Knockouts title match. So, yeah, there is some good women's stuff going on. I just happen to not think that Sasha Banks and Charlotte are the be-all and end-all of it. And we'll leave it at that.
No, it's not. No, you're absolutely right. It's not. And Yeah, a lot of it, again, it's them being victimized by the way WWE books and presents their shit. So,
and it's not against them personally. Charlotte's a good worker. I don't like Sasha Banks, I'll be honest, but Charlotte's an okay worker. I don't think anything bad of either one of them, really, but I just don't see what's so goddamn great about everything that they do. And everybody else seems to, and that seems to be getting on my nerves.
Oh, I agree. Well, again, I could probably name 5 or 6 women's matches this year alone that is better than most of what they've done. So that's not me being a dick. That's just me just stating my opinion.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, we'll be back with probably a TNA guy next week, and hope everybody enjoyed this interview with Cage. It's been good talking to you, Patrick. I don't think we've done one of these since the summer. You and I talked.
No. Yeah,
been a while.
Yeah, no, this is fun.
Have a good night, dude. I'll let you get to sleep now.
All right. Yeah, time for that. Nighty night.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you for listening.